I love just like seeing all these different regions coming together, and a lot of times it's regions that you just don't think of for certain types of games. I mean, when I started casting for WCG, like in 2005, it was really fun to meet these players from parts of the world that you're just not thinking of. You know, when you think of StarCraft, obviously you think Korea, but you also think of, Western Europe, you think of North America, but to get all these different countries from all over the place and realize, I mean, over there they're playing it too. Let's see who the best player is. Are they going to win? Probably not, but let's just see how they fare.
Well, it's super cool to see some of those other scenes actually field really strong players or teams. Like, for instance, I was just out back talking to some of the Clash Royale guys, and they were saying an Indonesian player is actually the strongest in that game right now.
There's a lot of people in Indonesia.
It was cool. Yeah, well, no, it's a very populous country, but you never think of them for esports.
Right.
Like, can you name a very good Indonesian StarCraft player?
I cannot.
I cannot either. It's just not that
Which is
popular
actually saying
game
a
down
lot
there.
because there's so many different StarCraft players from different countries, but
none come to mind for me. So it's kind of cool to hear something like that from a scene that's still developing their own esports.
Yeah, I think as we see cell phone games continue to flourish, we're going to see a whole bunch of regions that you would not have thought of as being highly competitive in games in general suddenly really unravel and show their true potential. Yeah.
And the thing is, you have a lot of cool potential with cell phone games where you can get like that Yu-Gi-Oh stuff going on. You can get like a little wrist holder that holds your cell phone. You're like, ha-ha! And like, don't have them sit in a chair at a table. Make them stand up on stage like this crazy thing that looks like a Pokemon battleground or something,
Yeah. Seriously,
get on board with that.
I think as gaming becomes more ubiquitous everywhere, and then now, first of all, it's easier to get access to the internet and get access to a computer, but with a phone, you can't operate without a phone, which means basically anybody who's living in the modern age is able to try these games out. If they like it, they could start to compete, they could start to master it, and I love that. I love seeing gaming continue to permeate in the rest of the world. Let's take another game, for example, Crossfire. Now, I bet a lot of the people that are watching us are more familiar with games like CSGO, right? They're thinking, what is Crossfire? Well, Crossfire is huge in a lot of the parts of the world where it's not easy to get good access to a computer, or access to a good computer, I should say.
Yeah.
And so Crossfire is sort of like the FPS equalizer where pretty much any PC can run it, and therefore you have a lot more people. People in rural China, people in Indonesia, people in Egypt.
Yeah, it's very big in Brazil, I've heard, and a few other places as well. And every country has some size scene to something like that.
Right.
Yeah, that's always an interesting thing, right? I guess the cell phones do bring that to another level where, like, almost the whole world will eventually have a cell phone, and then you can kind of play games on it.
Yeah.
And compete in that way because they all connect to the internet. But, yeah, we see that over time. Like, that's something that's grown the popularity of StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2 over the years, is it gets more and more popular in areas the older it gets, because then it's running on the PCs that are more popular in those places.
I mean, it's worth noting. I mean, some of these AAA high-end games, they look great, and that's awesome, but not everybody economically is able to just have a top-tier PC that can run everything.
Graphic-intense game that there is?
I don't know. I mean, PUBG, because of the way it was programmed for a while, was just a strain on any computer.
Okay.
They had to have, when that game came out, all the PCs in Korea had to upgrade.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Massively. But I don't know what is the most demanding graphically. The other funny thing, too, is even if you have a game that has absolutely spectacular graphics, a lot of times on the pro level they tend to play it with the graphics turned down.
Yeah, very often.
Yeah. But I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure. If you ask me, I'm like, I don't know, a Witcher game.
Might be a
Those
safe
are
bet.
good, right?
Yeah.
So